I'm not calling you. Stop! I'm gonna show this to your mom. See what you do when I let you stay in here? You're getting kicked out. And everyone can see you get kicked out. I kinda just wanna keep you because you're cute. We might get some views out of you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, look at that dog. The dog is so cute. Oh my god. Huh?
What? What? Who said that?
Anybody else?
Hello. Yeah, we've been gone for, I think Suicide Squad has been out for over 3 months now since this is being uploaded.
Oops.
But I mean, we've had some rough months, like said in the best and worst videos that came out earlier. But we're back, and we're gonna finish up the DCEU for now with Wonder Woman. Whenever Justice League comes out and we have time, we'll eventually talk about that. So visually, I like Themyscira. I kind of like its design. It looks like vacation resorts you see on The Price is Right, plus Amazon women. Plus, with the transition when you get to like England and stuff and all the war-torn places, it kind of emphasizes even more the contrast between the two.
It's first DC movie that like really pops out. I actually love London more than Themyscira because it was an accurate portrayal of London back then.
Right.
Which I know Themyscira is very fantasy and it's fine, but I actually really like London. The hustle and bustle kind of thing, like everybody's moving, there's like fog and smoke everywhere. So I really like that, like everyone's like, oh, we just got this colorful, island, now we're in this dark, muted place again. There goes DC again. But I'm like, well, it actually makes sense this time.
And it doesn't feel like you're just taking out the color because edgy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason. It's not like, oh, doesn't it look so realistic and gritty? It's like there's actually like a purpose behind it. Now, huge negative when it comes to the visuals of this movie. The CGI is really bad. Like, I know there have been worse movies, but there's Spawn and like movies from the 90s. This is 2017. It looks like an early PS3 game CGI. And I don't know, is it like the people they're using, the program, do they rush it? Do they not care? Like, I don't know. And normally bad CGI isn't too bad if it's like stylized. Because a lot of the CGI in Wonder Woman is people. Like, whenever Wonder Woman's in a fight using her lasso and like jumping around kicking people, it looks like a Stretch Armstrong action figure is being like dotted around.
In my opinion, it's most noticeable when the Amazons are on their horses.
Mm-hmm. The beach fight?
Yeah, I was like, oh, that looks like rubber.
I love all the costumes. I love Wonder Woman's costume. I think they did a real good job adapting it to where it doesn't look silly. Mm-hmm. They got rid of the stars on the bottom part and everything.
And the bikini.
It kind of makes like actually like Amazon warriors, but like hers still stands out.
Yeah. You
do have like a little splash of color because in Batman vs Superman, her suit's kind of brown, but in this one they made it red, and I really like that they made it red. One costume I do not like is Ares. I think it has to do a lot with, we'll get more into this like when we get to like characters and stuff, but like Ares actor just not threatening looking at all, and then when he turns into like his armor and stuff, at first like, okay, the armor doesn't look too bad, it's a little fake looking, but it's not too bad.
Yeah.
And then he like opens up the helmet and he still has that actor's face. That's not a scary looking person.
Yeah.
He's just some skinny British dude with a big mustache. But visually wise, I think some stuff is very creative. Themyscira looks really nice. Wonder Woman's costume. CGI is pretty shoddy, but it's forgiving sometimes, but sometimes it just really takes you out of it.
It is the most visually pleasing DC movie, I think.
Yeah.
By far.
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
I was for it, like, the whole entire time. So I was like, yeah, give Gal Gadot a chance. And she killed it. I mean, she's clearly not the greatest actress, but she plays the whole, I'm a foreigner, everything is new to me, but I'm also a badass chick role pretty perfectly.
Yeah. Character-wise, I think Wonder Woman, she's very likable. I think that's what the DC universe needed.
Mm-hmm.
They needed an actually, like, full likable person. Chris Pine as Steve Trevor. I like him.
That one I was, like, skeptical on.
Him and Wonder Woman have great chemistry.
Yeah.
They're probably one of the best superhero couples in all the movies that have ever existed.
Yes.
I think that's... the best parts of the movie is them together.
Yeah, by far. He's my favorite part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was like, oh, Chris Pine, like, I don't know, because I always imagine Steve Trevor as kind of like this, not buff, but very military-looking,
Right.
stern kind of guy.
You don't expect Chris Pine.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, Chris Pine's not going to do this well. But he killed it. Like I said, he was my favorite part of the movie, and...
Now, looking into the future with Wonder Woman 2, I think Gal Gadot may have not... I think Gal Gadot kind of needed Chris Pine to help her, like, carry the movie. But by the end of it, I think really she could carry the next movie on her own.
See, I completely disagree.
Really?
Because it was brought up so often in Justice League. Spoiler alert. Chris Pine, well, not Chris Pine, Steve Trevor was brought up so often in Justice League where it almost became a part of her character.
Yeah.
And I don't want in Wonder Woman 2 to like see a bunch of flashbacks that we never saw on screen in Wonder Woman, or like...
Yeah,
like she's near
you don't want to
death.
overdo like the Martha, like Thomas and Martha Wayne or the Uncle Ben kind of thing.
Yeah.
To the point where you don't want that to define her character. It's a part of her character
Right.
now, but that shouldn't be like 80% of her character.
So she's her own woman and she can do bad all by herself.
David Thewlis as Sir Patrick Morgan / spoilers Ares. As Sir Patrick Morgan, he's good. He just kind of pops up, does his thing. We're just gonna go into spoiler territory for this part because it's kind of a big deal. I guess the second time watching it, it's pretty obvious he's Ares.
Right.
The first time, I didn't think too much about it because I mean you see him just as much as you see Chris Pine's assistant. As a villain, he's definitely weak. I think that's this movie's biggest weakness is its villains, and the fact that it has too many.
Like almost at the point where it doesn't really have one at all.
Yeah, because it doesn't focus on one enough to where what's the real threat. It's like each act has its own villain.
Right.
He kind of turns into a generic Marvel villain at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just bad guy Wonder Woman has to beat. I don't have a problem with why can you have two actors play Ares?
Yeah.
One in human form, one in god form. Because when he's in god form and it's still Professor Lupin, I'm not threatened by that because it's just some English dude with a big fluffy mustache and like a goofy voice.
They really could have just like covered up the face and just let him
Change his voice.
Yeah.
They could add like a
Voice modifier to it.
and like you said, cover up the face. If anything, just give red eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, the armor itself looks fine. It's just that face hole he has kind of takes you out. Denny Huston as General Ludendorff. Again, just like with Ares, whatever, he's kind of cartoony.
He's very cartoony.
But the Musk won't help.
They don't know that.
He's like, he's like the propaganda villain you see like in like an American like why you should enroll in with the troops today. Like he's like that guy. He's clear after a certain point, especially once you see him like the second time, like they're trying to like. It's very obvious they're trying to make you think he's Ares.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, okay, so he's not Ares.
Right, like during the dance scene.
Yeah.
Like, you know nothing of the gods. I was like, oh, well, you're not.
The way they wrote his dialogue is so bad, where it's like, you're really trying to make... I was in the theater almost thinking, are they trying to like reverse psychology me where I think he's so obviously Ares that I'm going to think, well, he's not Ares, but then he is? Like, is it... But no, the movie's not like that smart when it comes to that stuff.
Nah, he's just some dude on PCP.
Yeah, to get stabbed later so we can have a final revelation and have a moral at the end. Elena Anaya, I'm sorry if we mispronounced that person, probably not watching this, as Dr. Poison. There's not a lot to say about her either. She's just a crazy motherfucker who likes making poison gas. And like, a cartoony villain, sure. And I think that's kind of the problem, because they try to make Ares super serious, and then you have these two over here, who are the majority of the movie, very cartoony, and then you have Ares actually being threatening.
Mm-hmm. So, I like the concept of her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she either could have been a really good main villain if they like really push her story, or the only side villain.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, she could have been the main villain.
Yeah.
Because you could use like Chris Pine's like argument like later for like she's just kind of doing her job. She thinks she's doing something right because like it's her side of the war.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, do you give in to like, oh, if I kill her, I save a bunch of people, but like maybe I don't have to kill her. It's not like you could do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
She's fine.
Yeah.
I've seen worse. I've definitely seen better. If again, I think because there's like 3 villains, that's what causes the problem where you don't really care about any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what they needed the most, a villain you give a shit about.
It was definitely a Wonder Woman movie. Like, I like how there was so much focus on her.
Right.
And the whole empowering thing and trying to figure out, like, is humanity worth it and all this crap.
Plus, the next movie was Justice League. So she's going to be the only person from this movie you're going to see.
Yeah.
So it's
like,
good.
Everyone's dead.
Yeah, so it's a good thing they focused on her.
Yeah. But, yeah, the villains could have definitely been... I either wanted to see a more intimidating Ares or no Ares at all and just the poison chick.
And maybe Ludendorff.
Yeah.
This movie, it kind of has okay action. It's not shot really amazing. It's just kind of there. Now, it has cool moments. Like, I would take moments from the fight scenes. You'd be like, this was fucking awesome. But if you're like, what are some of the best fight scenes in superhero movies? I don't know if I could put any of these really close to the top, because as a whole, they're okay. Like No Man's Land.
Yeah,
It's a great moment.
That was awesome.
A lot of the parts in the village, like her jumping into the clock tower. But as a whole, it's an okay fight scene.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff in between is kind of The fight on the beach is okay. Fight against Ares, I don't like it. It's kind of bleh.
To me, Wonder Woman is going to start facing the same problems Thor had, and that they're too powerful. So if you keep putting her up against humans or human-like people, then the audience is going to think, okay, they can finish this if they really wanted to. But if you get creative and have them fight in like other realms or people, like Steppenwolf,
Mm-hmm.
they had pretty good, not to spoil anything, but they had a pretty decent back and forth.
There's a trope in all this movie's fight scenes that got annoying very fucking fast. Yeah, so the first fight scene is 3 minutes long, and there are 12 slow-mo moments. So roughly, every 15 seconds, the movie stops to do slow-mo.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people's argument is like, oh, it mimics like a comic book where the panel is kind of frozen, and in your head that's slow-mo, and it speeds up as your head goes to the next panel. That's kind of what they're going for. And that's fine. Here's the thing. When you do slow-mo on stuff that's whatever, it feels like it's just slowing down the movie. Like in the beach fight scene. The only slow-mo I think is really necessary in that whole fight is like when the first person gets shot with a bullet.
Yeah, that was really cool, actually.
That's like the only time I could see where it's like, oh, okay. But every other time, like the mom at one point jumps off of her horse and like the horse turns. But like you established the mom was the last person on a horse we saw. And the next shot she jumps off. Mm-hmm. And then it turns to slow-mo and like you see it's her and then she attacks. And it's like there's so many times where the fight scene's like going and it slows down to someone like doing a dramatic move or like jumping off a horse or firing their bow. But after like the 5th or 6th time in like 2 minutes, it gets really old and you're just like, just fight. I don't know. It gets distracting more than anything, and I don't think it's necessary. It kind of takes you out of the fight because you're not in the action anymore. You're just waiting for the next punch to be thrown.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy the alleyway fight scene. It's very, especially the way they're dressed, it's very Richard Donner's Superman. The assistant wielding a sword at the dude. That was kind of funny. So, I like the No Man's Land fight scene, regardless of, like, the slow-mo and stuff. I think, overall, like, it's got, like, a good, like, good fun moments to it, especially when she jumps and launches herself into the sniper's, like, little hideout spot. My least favorite fight scene in the whole movie is definitely the last one.
Because it's
just
thorough.
It's just every generic DC fight. Man of Steel's ending, where it's a bunch of buildings falling down. Batman vs Superman against Doomsday. It's just a fiery hole in the ground. It's dull looking. Like Suicide Squad has the fucking like cloud around them. Wonder Woman. It's just a fiery airport where there's fire everywhere and cars are being thrown and people are blowing up. Like that's it. Like that's the fight.
Yeah.
And they don't have the CGI to make it at least look real because they're all powerful gods. It's a very boring fight. Spoilers, Steve blows himself up and Wonder Woman's like, I have the power, I can do this. And she's like, I fight for love and everything and I blow you up. Like that. Cool.
Yeah, she didn't really have a lot of like Amazon style fighting.
But you have that like in the No Man's Land where she's like whipping around people with the lasso and like kneeing and like as much as like the sliding around the floor in slow-mo looks dumb, at least it's kind of interesting and cool.
Mm.